Welcome back, everybody, to another fantastic episode of Engineering Money,
Huge episode.
where, like always, we're going to try to figure out what to do with the extra money in our paycheck from being an engineer.
That's the whole idea, right?
That's right. Tim is gone this week. That's the biggest news of the week. Um, and we don't
Invest the
remember
money.
why. We know he's moving to California soon, but I don't think that's this weekend, but we could be wrong.
Just fooling around in Indianapolis, making the best of his last week there.
Fooling around. Incredible. So yeah, it's my week. So
What do we
Tim's
got,
really
man?
missing out. Today, we really got two things. We're going to talk about V, which stands for very good. It also stands for Visa.
That's right.
Um,
Last week you mentioned Visa.
yes, I mentioned that this is going to be. My guess is that it's going to be the next to hit a trillion market cap.
Next trillionaire.
Yep, which is a huge assumption, and it will probably take them some time. But
But
that's how
basically,
you
the
that's
big
how you
thing is
get good money is taking big risks.
right, exactly. And the thing that makes your prediction interesting is that you think they will beat Berkshire Hathaway, who's currently ahead of them.
That's right. Yeah, let me pull up for us the big money. There we go. Mega
Tim's
cap.
the Timbo emoji that you put in place of Tim's video has a sad stock ticker for a mouth.
Yes. For those that are on Spotify, yeah, we just have a sad face emoji loaded for Tim here. All right, so let me zoom in a little bit more here. Or actually, I shouldn't do that. All right. So, we got a couple that are nearing 2 trillion here, actually. Um,
It's pretty crazy.
yeah. And then there's a huge drop off. So we got Apple, Microsoft, they're both above 2 trillion. Then we got Apple, Alphabet.
I
Um,
didn't realize Microsoft had gone so much above Amazon because it for a minute there, the first one to reach a trillion, it was like, is it going to be Amazon? Is it going to be Apple? It ended up being Apple, but now Microsoft has jumped into second place by a
yes.
wide margin,
Yeah, it's pretty
300
wild.
billion.
Yeah, and then we have a giant drop off here from I'm guessing what's the difference here? I'm guessing it's A and B.
Oh yeah, yeah. Goog and Google are voting shares and non-voting shares. So wait, if you do you combine those market caps to get total Alphabet?
I have no idea. But
Because that would put them significantly in the
yeah,
lead.
either way you do it. If you don't do that, we have 1.7 trillion for Google, not Google, and then we drop. Facebook is at 976 billion is the next on the list. So huge drop off. And then from Facebook, which it I'm kind of counting that in there when I'm making that prediction because they're very very
They're
close.
basically
They're
there.
basically there. I'm trying to say
Have
something that is not even close now is
right.
going to get there.
Because to say Facebook gets there means they go up by what,
Yeah.
20%? That's
Yeah.
they'll
That's
do
not
that
much of a
eventually.
crazy prediction.
And they've probably been there already because I don't think Facebook's at a peak right now.
Yeah. I agree. Yep, then we got Berkshire Hathaway and it's the same unclear do you add them
Oh,
together or
right, there
not
you
because
go.
there's the A and B type shares. They're
Berkman,
both
Berkay.
around 650 billion. Tesla's at 620. Alibaba is at 582. Uh, Taiwan Semiconductor is at 569, and then Visa right now is around 530.
So that's a big call. Saying we're going to get a double.
We're gonna get a double. Yep. The target price for Visa to get there would be $469.
So the current price is about 230.
Yes. Yeah.
Oh, there you go. It's on the chart here,
It's
248.
248. Yeah, because it's a little bit less than 50% that they gotta get, or less than 100%, to double their market cap. So yeah, doing the
Right.
math there,
And what are
468.
Visa's closest competitors
In terms of like
in this
what
list?
they do, or
Like
just on this
similar,
list.
similar companies to Visa, because it might just be that industry rockets up. Then who's to say Visa is going to be the
Oh yeah,
winner of that?
I got a lot to say about Visa, but yes, its closest competitor right now is Mastercard,
Okay.
which is number 18 on the list in terms of market cap. They're at 386 billion. So, yeah,
All of these, by the way, are worth more than Jeffrey Bezos. So they're big
they're
companies we're
huge
talking about.
companies. Yep. Yeah, I can tell you this stat that I wrote down here. Just comparing it to Mastercard, the difference in competition here. Visa processes twice as many transactions as Mastercard.
Wow.
Yes. Yeah. So, looking at Visa,
I guess I do, just from a layman's perspective, when I think I need to choose a credit card that will work anywhere, I go with Visa.
yep, yep, that would be the case pretty much anywhere in the U.S., most of Europe,
Yeah,
a
when
lot
I
of the
visited
Middle
Spain,
East
I got a Visa card
and Africa.
just for the purpose of visiting Spain.
Yep. Yeah. So, um, yeah, they're doing really well. That's one of the main things they got going for them right now is just their commanding market share in uh, on what's the word
Just
on
credit.
online payments, not online pay,
Oh,
electric
yeah.
electric
Yep.
payments,
Okay. Well, I so basically just non-cash
not
payments,
cash
right?
payments. Yep.
Which I think is great in general, that cash is like, if the popularity of cash were a stock, I would say you should short it,
Yep.
because cash is inconvenient. It's like you got to pay me to use
That's
cash.
right. So let me paint you a picture here of Visa. We know that the brand itself formed in 76, but the
Okay.
first actual credit card started in the 50s through Bank of America. And then Visa kind of emerged out of that as the first big kid on the block that was handling the electronic payments. Um, and just throughout the
Was it
decades,
one of the first? Was it one of the first credit cards of just
yeah. So the
the idea of a credit
the
card?
first credit card was from Bank of America in the 50s, and
Okay.
that division or whatever at Bank of America that was handling that stuff eventually split off and became Visa.
I
So
see.
they were the first, and it's kind of like the story of Bitcoin now and crypto with, but now we're
Okay.
talking about fintech. Because Visa was first, they kind of have everything. There's a bunch of
Yeah.
smaller electronic payment handlers. There's Plaid. There's all the other credit card companies, but
Right.
Visa is number one. They were the first. Um,
I wonder if back in the day everyone just called it a Visa rather than a credit card.
mm,
Like gaming consoles used to just be called
yeah,
Nintendos because they were first.
yeah, could be. But I know for those, what would that be? 4 or 5 decades, they just were number one. Kept growing. The popularity of credit cards kept growing. Um, j- to the point where it was a few years ago, the number of electronic payments or the amount of money handled through electronic payments surpassed cash.
Oh,
So electronic payments are now in the lead. and there's no real indication that that's going to be slowing down. But so coming to 2020, Visa processed $9 trillion in purchases. They have 3.4 billion cards in circulation globally. And there is this Nelson report that I'm assuming was about electronic payments and that market, that whole industry. They estimate that Visa holds over 50% of the market share in
Wow.
Europe, the US, Latin America, the Middle East, and Africa.
So their next biggest competitor is Mastercard, but Mastercard plus all those other ones don't even add up to half in those places.
Correct. In those geographical markets, the US, Europe, Latin America, Middle East, and Africa. The reason why
That's
Asia and Oceania and South, not to the same extent South America, but to some extent South America, is
what group does Australia fall into?
so they all are handled by the other big giant Union Pay, which is a
Oh,
Chinese electronic
never heard of
payment.
them.
Yep, they don't really operate. It's kind of like those are the two. You're either
Right.
in an area that handles Visa or an area that Union Pay
Well,
handles.
it's like what's the big Facebook alternative that's over there? I don't remember the name either, but
Yeah.
it's like more people than Facebook, I think. But you never hear of it because it's not here in the
Yep.
U.S.
We live in a crazy world, don't we? Um, so yeah, they really have a lot of stuff going for them. Just to
Well, okay then, Ben. My question for you is, we've established Visa's huge and dominating the market. How do they grow even bigger than this?
yes,
It's left for them to take.
yeah, they're that's right. Yep. So just kind of going over pros versus cons here, and then I have some predictions as to what their strategic strategy is to expand. um, the pros, what Bulls are saying, they already have most of the market share, which is awesome. There's still tons of room for growth for electronic payments in general as it continues to overtake cash, especially
That
now in the wake of
that makes
COVID,
sense.
because there was a
Yeah.
big push to stop using cash when COVID first hit, and I think sort of like how wearing masks are still a thing, even though lots of states are like loosening up and that sort of thing. People are still basically just using electronic payments, which ties up. There's still that national coins shortage and all that going on. So
Yeah. COVID forced a lot of behaviors to happen, and some of those behaviors people realized they liked,
like being able to just
like
tap
working
your
from home.
card or your phone to pay for things.
Yeah, contactless
Yeah,
payments.
exactly. Yep. Downsides though, because they're such a behemoth, there there's a lot more opportunity to lose as well,
Hmm.
which hurts a bigger company with more overhead and stuff like that. Um, and then the even bigger con that I see to that is Visa is now under the microscope of regulators
For
pretty
what?
heavily because they command so much of all the different markets out there.
I see.
So if you recall, Joey, back I think it was in March, they were Visa was planning on acquiring Plaid.
Yeah, I remember you talked about that.
Yes. And Visa ended up pulling out on that deal mainly because they were afraid of the regulatory consequences that would come out of that deal.
Are we talking like antitrust
Yep.
regulations saying like, hey, you're a monopoly
Yes.
now?
Antitrust. Because, yeah, acquiring Plaid would have, yeah, would be bad. And in electronic payments, the whole name of the game here is having more accounts, having more networks. It's very
Right.
similar to social networks, where it's
Yeah,
the more
exactly.
users you have, the more income you can acquire.
And the network effect is, it means it's exponential. It's not you get
Yeah.
twice as many people, you make twice as much money. You get twice as many people, you have four times as much because they're interacting with each
Yep.
other.
Yeah. So starting to expand um, outside the U.S. because Plaid is mainly a U.S. Network that they tried to acquire, and they're seeing now, okay, and this is just what I'm thinking they're saying is we've kind of reached our limit in America, in the United States.
Right. They're pretty saturated.
Any more, and we're going to start getting more and more red tape put up and more government regulators trying to prevent things from happening. So they've sort of shifted their target to other markets out there, not in the US. But the big con with that, and we talked about it a little bit, um, governments favor more local networks, and that's the whole thing with union pay. And
Okay,
we don't
yeah,
even know about
I was
that.
gonna say.
Local governments
Right.
will kind of just stick with what they know,
Yeah,
so it makes it
and
really hard for
that's
Visa.
Visa's one place to grow is to go in. If they have everything everywhere else, they need those people to grow
Yeah.
accounts. But how do you beat union pay in a country that likes union pay?
Yep. Yeah. So they're really focusing because they're that Nelson report, 50% of the total market share in all those different places, it's heavily concentrated in the US. So they're trying to further expand in Europe, Latin America, Middle East, and Africa. One example of this is just over the past couple months. I don't know when they did this, but Visa is going to acquire Tink, which is a European open banking platform.
Ooh,
It's a small deal. It's 2.2 billion. It's not a huge network, and it probably won't impact um, their overall uh, like market cap, their total worth, because their
right.
network is
Because it's
kind of
like if
small.
Visa is saying I'm buying this for 2 billion because I think I can double its business, that still doesn't grow Visa by much,
Yep,
relatively.
exactly. So, but it does shed light and speaks to that strategy of focusing more on outside the U.S. And this is
Right.
just
Which
one
makes sense.
little.
They're doing the right thing. They're growing where they need to.
Yep. Yeah.
So my question is then, because I remember when you were showing us that list, the one credit company beneath them, right beneath them was
Mm-hmm.
MasterCard. Well, not right beneath them, but the next. And but right beneath MasterCard was
Yep.
PayPal.
I saw
And
that.
I know PayPal is doing more interesting things with stuff like cryptocurrency. Like they're trying to be trend forward fintech. Is Visa doing anything of that sort?
Probably, but I think it's more in the closed board meetings. Nothing
Sure.
is public yet, but I'm sure that's part of their discussion because the industry of fintech is becoming more and more explosive and more
Yeah.
innovative. So Visa is that's really where it'll boil down to is Visa being able to keep up and adapt to the fintech innovations that we'll probably see in
Yeah.
the next couple decades.
I think you convinced me fintech and credit are growing. And if Visa's half of that, it makes
Oh
sense.
yeah.
But I like the idea of going for an innovator as
Yeah,
well.
fintech is
Maybe it is
crazy.
Visa,
There's going to
but
be so,
it just,
especially with its cross section with crypto that has all of the hype
mhm.
train.
It's where crypto exists in the normal world
Yeah.
is fintech.
Yep. Yep. It's going to be big next couple decades.
Huge.
And Visa is going to get 50% of that, hopefully. Yep. So that was, oh shoot, we're at 20 minutes. I didn't even get to my second thing.
Cut it off.
All right, bye. Sleep good.